the utilization was great, really low. But for a reason that I still don't understand, the Ethernet connection, with the data going over the Ethernet connection, it's getting too much data, and I don't understand why that is happening, because it's exactly the same script that I run on this machine. Yeah, okay, I've got a problem with processing power, but I can run the script, and that is using the local host. It's not using an external Ethernet connection, it's using local host, but it's still Ethernet. And I don't get that problem. And I'm running it now, and I don't have that problem at all. And the kilobits per second on OBS is, what is it? It's 2.6 megabits, and everything seems to cope. But when I run it over the network, for some unknown reason, it just basically doesn't work. So that's something for me to look into next week. Anyhow, been waffling too much. I shall hand it over. I'm not sure I'm going over to. Let me have a look. That's me. So I'm handing it over. I believe it's to Ed. So this is M0PIT. Going to put up a test card, and I'm handing it over to you, Ed.
Not easy. DATV not easy. Yep, I see a gray screen. Oh, here it comes. Testing nothing meter. Okay, guys, hello everybody. Greetings from Brazil. This is Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. Great transmissions. I got some problems. I started transmitting in some other frequency. So I apologize for the delay. Great to see you, Gary. Gary, seems a problem with maybe the YouTube went down or something. I see a few start transmitting got some issues with your transmission. There was audio but no image, Phil. But that was the first I don't know 15-20 seconds, I believe. After that your image came up. Good to see you, Michael, Brian, Phil. Yeah, I nothing much. I'm just got a new toy this week here, which is what you see here, this microphone. I wouldn't need to show it because it has a great gain and it's very directional. But since it's a new toy, I'm showing. Okay. Another thing is speaking about scripts, Linux programming. Papa Uniforme 2 Romeo Quebec Victor. He used to do the DATV as well, and he got some how do you call evaluation boards for with some Xilinx FPGAs, and he's trying to implement is trying to implement some, something for the DATV. Basically, I'm gonna show. I asked him to post some information on the AMSAT DL forum, as well as BATC. He did on the AMSAT DL, but not sure about BATC. So for you guys that maybe you know someone or you has some experience in programming FPGAs, it would be great if could get in touch with Rocky, because it seems a very interesting project. It's going to try to implement 4 receivers and 2 transmitters on a FPGA. I think he did already the transmitter, and I believe he's working on the receiver part. But anyways, he is just releasing it to the net here. So someone has experience on FPGAs, would like to join the project, would be great. I really don't have much experience on that. Actually, not much. I have 0 experience on programming FPGAs, but I think he's doing that through MATLAB. Anyways, that's it, guys. Other than that, yeah, it's been quite hot here lately, Gary. The main issue is that there is no rain, very dry. I think it doesn't drop any rain for more than 3 months, and it's been very dry, and lots of people getting respiratory issues. But anyways, we are expecting some rain desperately here, because it's really very dry. All right, that's it. So I'm gonna send to Martin. Golf 8 Kilo Oscar Echo. This is the Worldwide Net from Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. Camera to you, Martin. As soon as I find my PTT, okay, Martin? Bear with me. I found it. Over.
Yeah, I thought I'd show you a picture of the outside. It was absolutely bucketing it down earlier. It's somewhat overcast. The grass is getting somewhat greener and growing. It's been quite heavy, the rain. But anyway, yeah, good pictures, good sound. Let's go over to that one. Yeah, interest in your microphone. Yeah, I run a Yeti microphone, which is this one, and you talk into it there, that way, not into it at the end. So I was just curious whether, because it's got various patterns, it's actually 2 or maybe 3 inserts, but you can do. So, but this one you talk into it that way. So just curious. It sounds good anyway. It's such a new toy, but you didn't say what it was. Yeah, I think I've got to blame Phil for all my troubles, really. Well, it all started with Phil, I think. We tend to have quick QSOs, which usually turn into an 80-meter net, really. They go on and on and on. And I think it was Friday, I think, we were having one. And, I was just about to sort of close down, and I hadn't really paid much attention to the PA and the garage, which I don't think I even had the window open. I've just been visited someone else who doesn't like the outside. That's Boris. There's a habit sitting on my keyboard. Anyway, so I was talking to Phil, and the signal sort of started getting somewhat weaker and such like until it pretty well died. On investigation, having stripped the PA down, let's find a picture. That one. We had obviously smoke, and it's somewhat charred up there. As you can probably remember, I had a PA that went before, but it went over here. I did clean it up a little bit. I haven't had a chance to really look at it closely. The other one went here. I was wiggling the pointer around on the wrong image. I received one, which of course you wouldn't see. Anyway, so let's whip over to there. That's with it slightly cleaned up. As you can see, I've got to investigate and meter it through and see whether it's recoverable. Luckily, I had another one, so Friday and Saturday I was busily remodding one and getting it in the case rearing to go. Well, that seemed all good. But I use the toms off air locally to monitor the spectrum, which works exceedingly well. Anyway, on testing the transmitter, I noticed it was off channel. It was sitting in between two channels. As such, on 333, it was always sitting in between. Well, the Pluto has got the Leobodner locking it. So I'm sort of thinking, is that throwing a wobbly, etc. Went down the path of switching it off and checking to make sure that Pluto had I'd sent the right commands to it to enable it, etc. I disabled it and then re-enabled it. Then looking at all sorts of other things. At the time, I think I was using the Windhill client of Tom's, and I was clicking to select from the I think what the program, sure, the quick tune. That's right, program. And that was communicating, but we were always off frequency. So I even booted the Pi that ran the feed to quick tune. We booted all that up. It was still the same. And what I should have done a lot sooner was to look at the BATC, and that one I was spot on frequency. So for some reason, the quick tune that was locked up locally was off. Having sort of gone around every decrease in circles, went to I actually powered everything down, including everything that was in the garage, the feed and such like, and powered everything all up. Perfect. So having thought that because I'd stuck another PA in, that there were problems here, there, and everywhere, there wasn't really. Anyway, I'm monitoring closely the temperature now of the PA, and I have made some alterations to the way the cooling goes. I think I just chatted for too long, and the PA had overheated quite drastically because I was pushing the current through it as well, a good 12 amps at least, and so a little sort of PA. I've also found that where I was measuring the temperature, there's probably about 5 degrees difference to what I thought was there and what was actually there. So I'm now actually measuring the temperature right on the pallet itself, which hopefully I can't afford to keep blowing up the PAs, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to repair this one, or maybe make one out of two. The second one that I'd repaired, which I thought was working, when I tried to use that, that didn't seem to be quite right somewhere. So I need to reinvestigate that. But yeah, I did put up the link to my live GKE, which I'm also streaming things. In case streams go down, I usually do stream it on there. It's obviously better if you link it up through something else like various players, VLC or something, to get it to speed up a little bit. Otherwise, it's very slow coming through on the BATC link. What else? I think that's probably enough of my waffle, really. Microphone direction. Michael, your sound's crackling with me. I think I mentioned it before. Be interested whether it's crackling with anybody else. It's that sort of nasty. It's almost as though it's you're running out of you're crashing somewhere. You're running out, squaring off or whatever. It's sort of occasionally. Not nice, but it could be my receiver. My end. Right. And apologies to you, there, Benno, for barging in and nicking your parking space as it was. I got in first. Right. I'll put a test card in a minute there, Benno, so get you ready with your music. At least it's not the your usual music anyway, so quite pleasant for a change. Right. Are you ready there, Benno? Test card and I'm going from G8KO.
It is my normally sound. Thank you, Martin. It is my usual sound, so I think, well, I have to do something here. Let's see what happens here. I'm in the middle of testing my my FT8 system on my multi-transceiver. And that works nice next to me. I'm currently on 40 meters, also active with FT8. Well, what to comment on? I think the problem, Gary, I'm not sure if it was your network, your YouTube channel, your internet was good down, but I think it's more due to the fact some people are not on the same frequency, and I think I'm monitoring with basically with two receivers at the moment, with the Winter Hill receiver on my channel, which works, by the way, flawlessly and has a wide catch angle for the frequency, so not too much problem in catching everyone. And I also using Open Tuner basically for the reception here locally, for the checking the if everything. And I find that one I need to select the channel every time someone is just marginally off. Yeah, well, I think having the right channel, the right frequency, at least for the uplink frequency, and the same 333 and 2/3 FEC would make things a little bit easier. And I think also you're right, had a problem with MIT, I believe. Okay, well, doesn't matter. At least we are capable in seeing each other, and Twitch is working. So if YouTube is collapsed, Twitch will work. Oh, now I need to do something else here. Do the logging. And I just made another QSO on 40 meters high. FTH is very much my kind of my active QSO high. You just click on some mouse and then it suddenly you have a connection. It's not that great. So that's basically for the YouTube problem. What I've been done is building that the digital transceiver which I showed you guys last week. I've built it into my multi-transceiver and found played with quite a bit. A little bit up, a little bit down. I have made it up to 160 meters. I have made it up to 15 meters, and all with the same settings, meaning it wasn't too sensitive on 160 meters and it wasn't too sensitive on 15 meters. But you can still use it, and that's fun. I'm now built it for the only 40, 60, 40, 30, 20 and 17 meters. 80 meters is not that interesting for me, but maybe I can also use it on 80 meters, which with not big of settings difference. Besides that, I'm still struggling with my Pluto connecting to the Langstone. I had it working for over 2 months flawlessly, and I played with all kind of settings yesterday and managed to get it working with another diode in the 5-volt in the USB cable. But well, today I switch it on and it doesn't work. So it's still a pain in the ass. And I think something is going wrong with the reboot, and I think it's down to maybe not enough power onto the right plug. And I'm now going to make a double set of USB plugs with the same voltage, so I'm 100% sure it gets 4.8 volt at once, according to some guys. I've seen it working better on 4.8 volts, so I don't believe that. But obviously my Raspberries are complaining if I put it on 4.8 volt and then I turn it back on 5 point something and I have only one output. So that's probably the next step. I think something going on with when the reboot, it's not correctly rebooting or fast enough or something, and then down back to the right power on the Pluto. Okay, well, that's basically all for now. Nice nothing meter. I like those meters showing nothing. That's what it should be done at. By the way, the sound of PIT was it? Was perfect here. No cracks, no no damages, and I'm monitoring the sound with the Open Tuner. And I think I'm using VLC for that at the moment, but I need to double check on the next over. I can check that now. Yes, it is using VLC, so that's not a big problem. Microphone on to my mic. MJW. Not much since Thursday. So what did you do up to Thursday? Hi. From Papa Alpha 3 Foxtrot Bravo X-Ray. Passing it on, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Benno. I'm not seeing my picture. Oh, I am now. That's good. Right, whilst to remember, the reason for the 30 Hz tone was originally when we were experimenting with scripts. When you didn't have any sound, strange things seemed to happen to the transport stream. It got mangled up a bit, and especially with H.265, you'd get the screen going grey, and as soon as there was sound, it didn't do that. But if you had a static image, like a test card, or even someone talking but not saying anything, i.e. not a static image, without any sound, it used to cause issues. So hence the low-level subaudible tone, stroke subwoofer tester that I have on the test card, and it's useful for me as well because I can tell that there's a sound coming out without having to say anything. The other option would be the 512 kilohertz tone, but that's very annoying. Sort of beeping noise coming out at you from a test card. Right, okay, what else? Winter Hill's overheating. I hope, Phil, that you've done the recommended airflow, because if you don't, then it could easily overheat, yeah. Because it'll get hot inside because of the NIMS. But that was all on the wiki, so I assume we've done that. Mine's been fine. It's been operating down in the garage. No, not in the garage, in the conservatory. And it's been operating with the sun and warm and everything else, and it's been doing that for years. The reason it keeps rebooting is because the mains goes off about once a month. Otherwise, it's perfectly stable. So it works fine. What else? I don't think there were any other questions, so I'll go on to what I was going to talk about. And probably the first thing is to talk about the web page, and maybe I'll go on and say something about. Actually, no, maybe I'll talk about this first because it happens to be on the screen. So this is a board inspired by Benno. It's you can see the chat there as well. I've got the chat up so I can see if anyone makes any comments. This is a board, and actually it was needed for some work that people are doing at 76 gigahertz. They needed these weird power supplies here. And the obvious way to do it is with a switch mode power supply, same as you did with the Winter Hill. Anyway, there are 5 on this board, and the values are really immaterial because you can change resistors and capacitors and inductors and change the performance. So there's one that's greater than the input voltage. The input voltage is assumed to be 12 volts. I guess it doesn't even have to be that. It could be 24. But the input voltage comes in and you get plus something a bit more with a boost converter, 18 volts for example, and you've got 3, that's the regulators there, 3 that are less, so there's a buck converters, maybe 5 volts, 2.4 volts, 1.1 volt, whatever you need, and then there's one negative round as well. So that was a board I spent some time designing last week when I was off work for a few days. So that's the next thing to be tested, but that wasn't what I was going to talk about because I haven't got the boards back from China yet. It was, now, here we go. Let's make it a bit bigger. Actually, well, it's probably big enough. Make it a little bit bigger. This is my website. I'm sure many of you are probably familiar with not having seen it. Oh dear, I need to change that date. Anyway, I added an extra page, which is about projects. And this covers basically projects. And what I'll do is I'll artificially make the text a lot bigger so you can see it on the screen. Oh, that was the wrong way. Now, I've spoken about the Arduino antenna switch converter, and I've recently designed, so scrolling back a bit, last weekend I discovered my Arduino antenna rotator interface wasn't working. Actually, it wasn't last weekend, it was last Tuesday. And it's only got very few components, so I got it wired on a board, but I decided on a bit of Vera board, why not just make a proper one? So that's what that is. Nothing special about that, but I thought it might be useful, so I put it on the web page. And it'll drive either the Yaesu G1000 series or the 5600 series. It doesn't drive others. You could drive others. All these are open collector transistors, NPN. So if you could connect a relay with a suitable protection diode and switch it to ground. So that's what that one was. And then we've got the LTEC flat pack controller, and I need to find a picture of the LTEC flat pack to put it there as well, I realise. Which is another Arduino project. There's a bit of a familiarity cause here, they're all nano projects. So I need to put a few more pictures on there. It takes me a while to do these web pages because I have here my web editor of choice, and it might not be the best way to write HTML. This is Notepad+. I'm sure I could probably find a nice package, but they all seem to want you to register or log into a system or pay money to design your web pages, and I don't really need to do that. So that's what I'm using, Notepad+. So it does take me a long time to update the web pages, but they have been there since 1994. Right, okay, I think that's probably bored everyone to tears, so sorry about that if it has. And I think I need to pass it on to Leon. Yes, that's right, Leon. Oh, just to comment on the audio. No, there was no crackling on any of the audio I heard either. So I think that must be an issue that you've got locally, Michael. And Martin, it doesn't look like you're going to get the smoke back into that board, but I'm sure there are plenty of ones from Bison Electronics that would replace it. So not a major tragedy, hopefully. You're back on the air anyway, so you've obviously got a spare. Right, so ZS1 Mike, around to you, Leon, G0MJW.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Let's just see if I've got audio. Okay, thanks, Mike. Yeah, I do have audio. Yes, good morning, afternoon, evening to everybody, especially to the listeners. I don't know whether Gary's streaming is back on, because my friend ZR4 Bravo Oscar Sierra Louis said he was also going to listen or watch via the link. But now I saw, was it somewhere that the thing had folded. Anyway, okay, yeah, I also didn't hear any bad audio from anyone. All the audios were good, and the videos were good, and Phil, your focus also stayed on you today, whereas last week it at times it would just go out of focus. It didn't happen this time, and the audio was fine. Benno, I like your new microphone. Was it? Yeah, yeah, it was Benno. Yeah, Benno with a new microphone. No, Ed. It was Ed, sorry. Ed, yeah, it sounds good. Right, what other comments? Brian's got that new RX going. Now Phil's audio is okay now. It's got the new mic and the nothing meter. That looks good. I've actually also got one. It doesn't say nothing. It's just got nothing on the scale. Martin, you've got a PA problem again. I wonder what you're doing. Why are you running 12 amps? Good heavens, is your dish like off the satellite or something that you need to run so much power? I'm missing half of the satellite. Okay, right, and yeah. Mike, yes, that's a nice, neat PSU you've made there with all the different voltages and so on, and the negative. Yeah, I bought some small ones on eBay which give out negative and positive rails. I ordered the ones that give you plus and minus 15 volts, which is nice for when you're playing with op amps. Anyway, okay, right. What's happening here? I'm rather busy. I have been asked by the University of KwaZulu-Natal again if I can help them out with their rockets. They are planning on launching 2 around about middle of next year or so. So if everything goes well, we'll have some rocket movies again in the second half of next year. This time it's much more complex. They want proper telemetry, like proper IRIG or 106 telemetry, and also FTS, flight termination system. So I'm busy working on the flight termination system at the moment. I'm just waiting for some components that I've ordered, which they promised me should be here by tomorrow. Then it'll be in Cape Town, and then I must just send a courier to pick it up there. So yeah, we're going to have some fun there. The data pack for the telemetry I cannot make myself because it's all digital, but I do have a friend, an ex-colleague in Bredasdorp, who's quite clever with that sort of stuff, and he's going to do the data pack for me for the telemetry. I'll just do the transmitter, the RF bit and so on, and get the whole lot going. So we'll have 20 channels of data, analog data coming into this thing, and it'll give out one stream out of either biphase L data or NRZ L data, which I'll put onto the FM transmitter, the telemetry transmitter, also in S-band, 2.2 to 2.3 gigs. That's where telemetry normally runs on spacecraft. Okay, but yeah, why I'm so late, I'm busy. My new workshop outside is almost done, and I installed a whole lot of power outlets, wall sockets, and I'm busy wiring them up now. I've done all the piping and the fitting of the boxes and so on, and I was actually busy drawing in the wires, pulling them in, when I noticed, but gee whiz, it's just about 4 o'clock. I must I must drop everything and switch on the satellite stuff. So yes, and then I noticed, oh, my microphone is in the wrong computer, because we had not a Zoom net. What is this other thing where we have a TV conference on the network, all the parties involved in this rocket, and so my microphone was still plugged in there, and I had to switch it over to this one. Okay, that's it from me. So Louis, I hope ek hoop jy's daar en jy kan luister en kyk. Yeah, that's if Gary's net is working. So Gary, over to you. Oh, and Gary, you promised that you would send me an email on Monday, this past Monday, which you didn't. I can't even remember what it was, but it was something interesting that you would have sent me, but I've forgotten now what it was. I wonder whether you can remember. ZS6 Yankee India for the group from ZS1 Mike in Worcester.
Yeah, I think it's getting pretty obvious that we're getting old.
Yeah.
ZS1. Cut this. Why doesn't it go?
ZS1.
What gaan nou? Right. ZS1 Mike Mike. ZS6YI. Right. ZS1 Mike Mike. ZS6YI. Something's wrong with this computer today. Something's wrong with this computer today. Let me just mute the receiver a different way. Gee whiz. Murphy's certainly been knocking on my door today. Yeah, the net went down completely. And then I had to quickly reboot and start the net again, a new one. So the little link changed. But if you do click on that you like it and that you follow this net, then automatically you would have been told the link's changed, and so you can click onto the new link. I apologize for that. It's beyond my control. I just thought, internet's gone. So I had to run around and try and get it to restream on the same link. It didn't work, so I had to just start up again. So we lost a little bit of fill there, but we recovered relatively quickly, not quick enough, but nothing we can do. And hello to Louis in, is it ZR4 Bravo Oscar Sierra. We also have Stuart listening, ZR6 Whiskey Tango, and Rudolph, DL, is it 4ZT or ZL offhand, and all the other chaps that might be watching on YouTube. Seems to be working out okay right now, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, comments on the list. Firstly, Michael, your audio was fine by me, really good, and you certainly had trials and tribulations, and I know the feeling, the hot sweat you get when you're about to come on the worldwide net and things collapse. But fortunately you are capable of landing on your feet, so to say. And then Brian, yeah, interesting on the new advanced receiver, it certainly is, and we look forward to seeing more of that in the future in more detail, mind you. And I see you've got that nice power supply, which Mike's also had a look at and put his expert touch to it too. So all good. And then Phil, yeah, as I said, I saw you experimenting, when was it, the day before or whenever, and I must say your signal was beautiful, really, really good. So no problem there. You've got that right. And I just want to see, I've done a few changes here just to see what happens. My video slightly improved, but not much, but anyway. Okay, and then Ed, always good and interesting, and of course we will try and support Rui where possible. And so good for you to bring that up. Martin, yeah, I wonder if that's not a cap that's popped, but I'm sure you'll get it sorted. And yeah, as Mike says, it's a pity you couldn't get that smoke back in. It's normally a very expensive smelling smoke too. And Benno, back to your good music there. I think Martin was hoping you changed the tune. I don't know why, but it sounds okay, and a good picture and audio as usual. Yeah, Mike, for not doing much, you did a lot. I hope you weren't ill the last few days that you were off work. I hope it's more like a holiday, and good to see you with an excellent signal. And we like that rumble in the jungle, that low frequency woofer tester, because we know it's Mike. I just hear, there's Mike, he's on, with no call sign or anything. So that's your signature tune. And then Leon, very interesting on the rocketry. That's going to be exciting for sure. And yeah, I hope we can put together another lovely video on that, and we'll also put that on YouTube for sure. I think that's going to be very interesting. And I'm pleased that they're calling you in to help with the RF and the backbone technology there. So I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, there were two guys very involved with rocketry recently. That's Romeo, and of course Tom, who's very absent, but he's been extremely busy at the salt mine. And then he went, and he didn't even ask for permission. He went on a week's leave or so, to the Makarikari salt pans in Botswana. And he said he's going to put through a nice video and show us, hopefully one of these Sundays. But I know the guy's under pressure, working hard. And yeah, Tom disappeared for a while, but he's back in circulation. I just hope he comes on the air. No doubt he's watching. But anyway, we're good to see him. And then very shortly, Ohan, ZS1 SCI, will be back on air. He's got a new dish, which he disassembled. It's a nice one, 2.4 meter. And some of the poles were bent and buggered. So I said, look, send those things to me. And we got it nicely sorted out for him, made a new disc and everything. So it was posted off to him on Friday. So hopefully by Tuesday or so, he gets it. And with luck being on our side, he'll be back on the net. And then Henry is, of course, now permanently in Portugal, but he is receiving. He has a receiver up with a nice little dish. So he's just waiting for some more things to arrive from South Africa. And then hopefully we'll see him back on our Sunday nets. That's Henry. I don't know what his Portuguese call sign is, but I have it somewhere. Anyway, that's all from my side. With this, we'll go one more over, but I'm going to bow out. If you guys will forgive me, I have to go and do something else. I got the pool redone, and so now I had to put in a gadget to suck up leaves. And guess what? Now the pool's kicking my backside, because now I have to go and make sure that it's not too clogged, because it's very windy here now. And we have big trees all over, and these big darn leaves fall in. So I have to go and physically switch off the pump, take out the leaves in the little creepy crawly. So I've got to make sure that that happens. But we're winning slowly. But it's giving me a lot of suntan, as you can see. Right, so with that, back to you, Michael. And let's hear more from what you're doing from Zulu Sierra 6, Yankee India, saying 7-3. And we'll sort of be listening on the sideline here.
Okay, I think I'm working. Okay. Every time I go on air, I say I must do something about the volume control and bring it closer or something. We talked about a little bit about the weather. Somebody mentioned rain. If someone could explain to me what that is, I'd like to know. All we have here is sun. Microphones. A lot of people talked about microphone, including Benno with his new microphone. I'll show you what I use. Let's get my little camera. Yeah. So where it is. Here we go. This, okay, that's what I use. This is called a desk mic. Okay, because it sits on a desk stand. Now, it's got a removable capsule. This is the capsule, and that's the power supply. You can screw it off. It's actually a bayonet fit, and it's actually this bit's called, it's AKG, and it's an SE. What is it? SE 300. They're obsolete now, and the capsule is cardioid. I think it's a hypercardioid, I can't remember, but it's a CK93 capsule. So that's what I use. And why do I use one of those? Well, I used to work in broadcast TV, and in the days before personal mics became popular, the news presenters and interviews and things like that, you know, they would use desk mics, and they work very well. And that's what I'm doing. No, I didn't steal this from Yorkshire Television. I actually bought it. In fact, I've got several actually, and some of those big chunky ones, which seem to be very popular with the podcasters, who stick it right in front of their face like this, presumably so you don't notice it's out of sync. And then BBC Radio. If you watch a televised BBC Radio thing, they do the same. And I can't understand that. Why is it necessary to have it like this on radio, but not on television? The mind boggles. My mind is always boggling. What else? Martin, you mentioned you thought my audio was a problem, but you did concede that the problem might be your receiver. Well, judging by the comments that we've had and the fact that I'm watching the meter and I'm nowhere near clipping, I think it must be down to your receiver, because at least 4 people have mentioned that the audio was perfect. So if it's still crackling, then I think the problem is in your receiver. Maybe you're suffering from the same kind of things that I suffer from, which is temperature. Because Mike mentioned, he didn't mention temperature, but he did comment on the Pluto's audio encoder, and if it's slightly off frequency, I think this is what he meant. If you're transmitting slightly off frequency, then it will affect the audio encoder, the FM, because the Pluto remuxes everything for some strange reason, but it does, and that can cause audio problems. So my question then would be, well, it was going to be my question until everybody said my audio is okay, but my question was going to be, would temperature affect the transmit frequency of a Pluto? Because mine's running a bit hot until I get some fans installed. So, which I still haven't done. I've decided to attack the very nice cases I've got. I'll just put the camera back on so you know what I'm talking about. There we go. That's the receiver with its lid off. Okay. And inside, there's, you can see what's inside. So I was thinking of putting the fans in and things, but now I'm thinking I'll just cut a hole here and one on the other side, and a fan on each end, and suck all the heat out on both sides. There are some little ventilation slots at the bottom and the top, so there is a way for the air to get in. But it's serious metal work, and I don't mind butchering these sides because you don't see them. But when I put the lid back on, I'm going to have to butcher the lid as well. And I know what I'm like. It'll be scratched. I nearly said a bad word then. It'll be very scratched by the time I've finished with a hacksaw and a file. I don't have any machine. I don't have a machine shop or anything like that, so I can't do anything precision actually. All my metal work is done on a workmate, and I don't even have a vise actually, and it's pathetic, isn't it? And every time I do a job, I say to myself, I must buy some better tools. And then the job's done and it gets forgotten, so it never gets done. Yeah, so I envy people with well-equipped workshops. I've been like that all my life, I'm afraid. And at the moment, my workshop is on the roof and it's too hot to do anything. So the fans are going to have to wait until it gets cold, by which time I won't need them. But I'll need them for next summer. So with a bit of luck, if I remember to do it over the winter, the key is not to put the lids back on, actually. If I don't put the lids on, it'll constantly remind me. And I've got the fans over there in a way that's really annoying. I keep knocking them off. If I leave them there, there's a chance I might remember to do it. So that's it. I just wanted to say thank you to Gary if you're still listening. I do appreciate what you do every Sunday. I know I don't join you every Sunday, but I think you're doing a splendid job keeping, organising this net. And I'm sure everybody is grateful. I know I am. So thank you, Gary, if you're still listening. So with that, what's he saying? Mike says, no vices, Michael. How do you manage? Oh, I've got plenty of vices. Oh, yes. But I won't tell you about them now. Change VLC audio now. Change to VLC audio. Now, okay, problems when using... Well, I don't use if you're talking to me... Oh, no, that's Martin. Martin's saying he's going to change something or other. Yeah, okay. Oh, well, I'm sure he'll explain that when he comes on, because I don't understand that. I don't use VLC. I use FF Play against everybody's better recommendations. But it seems to work for me. Apart from a couple of hours ago, that is. But that's a different issue, I'm sure. So where are we going next? I can't remember. I'll have to have a look. We are going over to Brian. G6 HFS, Brian. So over to you, Brian, from EA7KIR Michael, in very dry and hot Spain.
Right, let's see if we get things run the right way this time. Think we've got audio? Yep, I'll just quickly spin round actually. I don't know if Gary's still watching. But here's a bit of a close-up. Oh, come on, Eagle Eye, do a focus. Oh, there we go. See it all going. Got the flashing little LEDs on the pics. And that's just a Pi 2 gig with a heatsink on, and there is a fan on the bottom of that. So that's that. That's the screen. So they're all working. It's been on all day actually. Need to get it sorted out from behind me. That's the trouble at the moment. It's all behind me. It's all a mischief. But I'll get that sorted. That's just that I've got a larger screen on that side of the shack. So that's about it for me for this week. Thanks everybody. Been an interesting afternoon, morning, evening again. Oh, the only thing that I have done is I've I thought it was time I corrected that. Yes, it now says GMT and not summertime. I just realised I'm not supposed to display in local time here. It's got to be GMT, of course. Right, I'll say 7-3 to everybody this afternoon, and I'll hand it round to Phil. Let's just find a test card. So, round to M0PIT from G6HFS.
All right. Cheers, Brian. Let's just check we've got some audio. Yeah, there's audio. Oh. Right, couple of comments. Leon, can't wait for your rocket videos. I really enjoyed the last one. So, yeah, really looking forward to them. They're really informative. Yeah, really, yeah, learned a lot from watching your videos. So I can't wait for some new ones. And as for my last week's transmission, I mean, the audio problems was down to the old compressor behind me. But the video, it's basically, it's due to that. Because I'd been testing DATV Not So Easy, which means altering various scripts and stuff like that, and OBS. I just put everything on here, new operating system, and ran OBS on here. Well, the settings on OBS on here are not, shall we say, as refined as I have on this one, so that's why the video was probably causing problems. Anyhow, that's that. Mike, Winterhill overheating. Well, I'm not sure it was overheating, but I seem to lose connectivity to it from the network. And the only thing I could think of is possibly that it was overheating. It only happened twice, I think, and both times they were on. They've been on for quite some time. But the case that it's in, it doesn't have a front panel because I haven't bothered to actually go and cut some holes in it. So it doesn't actually have a front panel in it. So there should be plenty of air flow. Benno, I've changed it to 2/3, so I hope you're happy. Hope it helps. And as for Martin blaming me for blowing up his PA, well, the bottom line is, if Martin didn't spend so much time talking, his PA wouldn't have got so hot. And anyhow, Martin's used to smoke out of PAs from the old days of Radio England. That's way back in the 1970s. I'm sure he saw a few puffs of smoke and a few flashes. They were good days. But yeah, 12 amps on your pallet. I've noticed that on mine, I did try to run it at 1 megasymbol. And what I noticed was that when my PA got up to, I think it was about 12 amps, at that point, if I put any more RF up the drive, it basically, my D numbers went down. So that was implying that it was actually all the energy was going in the shoulders and bringing the main signal down. So now I wouldn't, because we've got the same PAs, I wouldn't drive mine probably more than about 11.5 amps. But anyhow, I suppose each to their own. But yeah, touching wood, I haven't had problems with mine. Touching wood. Shouldn't say that because it won't be working. In 5 minutes, mine's going to go out in smoke because I've been talking too much. What am I going to do next week? Well, I'm going to do some more testing on DATV Not So Easy. I've got to do that, which hopefully won't be a lot of work. I've got two other things. As most of you probably know, I use RTMP. I stream out of OBS into FFmpeg, and that's done locally on the machine. And I did try the other day to actually push it out over the network, and for some reason, which I don't know what, it seemed to be taking all the data in, and it just couldn't cope with it. Where if it's done on locally, which is on local host, I don't understand how the control takes place, because it's all local, and there's no difference between running it local and remote. The only difference is that one is, I presume, over the bus internally, and the other one is over the network, and I can't see the amount of traffic over the network has caused that type of problem, unless it's to do with buffering on the Ethernet interface, because it's actually receiving RTMP and it's squirting out to the ports down, and I don't know if it's the buffering in the Ethernet connection that's causing that problem. That's easily remedied if it is, because I'll just put it out on a separate Ethernet connection, because I've got, on my server, I think I've got 12 Ethernet ports on it. I've got 2 cards, 4 on each, and I've got 4 on the actual motherboard itself. So that's easily remedied. And the other problem I want to try is to use multicast from the Wind to Heel. And the reason that it's an issue is, for me, the network connections to my machines here is going through a Cisco switch, and I know by default multicast are disabled. Its IGMP is disabled, so it won't work as it stands, and it means that I'll have to log into my Cisco router, which I haven't done in probably about 10 years, because it's quite old, and I don't even know if I've got interface cables anymore, because it's serial. But anyhow, that's food for thought. I suppose I could always bypass the Cisco router and put it straight into my my wireless router, which has IGMP enabled by default. So that might be an option. But anyhow, that's for me to play with next week. So right, so that's the end from me this week. I'm going to hand it over to, where am I? Handing it over to Ed. I just want to say thanks, Gary, for the net. Do a sterling job. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So this is M0PIT going QRT on the worldwide net, and hope to chat to you all next week. So I'm going to put up a test card, and then if Ed can take it, that would be great. See ya.
Forgot to start the virtual camera. Yep, now it comes up. Fantastic. Okay, great net. Say hello to Leon. Thanks for joining, Leon. Nice to see you. And Benno, we got a QSO, a good QSO yesterday. I'm just curious, you mentioned that you use an OpenTuner. I got some issues using the latest version of OpenTuner with my DATV Express little box. So I fall back, I downgraded again to OpenTuner 0.4. Yeah, that's 0.4. But I still have some issues with a few stations. I cannot decode the audio. I believe that's because OpenTuner is not so flexible regarding the frequency variation as Minitune is. Minitune decodes the audios, no problem, but OpenTuner not. Image comes, but the audio not. Yep, that's okay, guys. So almost lunchtime for me here. Thank you very much. Wish you a great upcoming week, and I hope to see you all again. 73 to all now with Martin. Golf 8 Kilo Oscar Echo after my final.
Right, still overcast. Thought we'd start again with the outside world. Don't hear any sound. Why don't I hear any sound? Yep, we've got a sound. That's good. So, you still didn't tell me what the microphone was there, Ed. I was waiting with interest, thinking, you're going to tell me in a minute, but you didn't. So keep it a secret. You have to tell me next time. Michael, yeah, I'm using OpenTuner, and you can select whether it uses VLC or FFmpeg. In fact, you could have, it's got two sort of top and bottom. Anyway, I was using FFmpeg, which is where you had broken sound. Changing to VLC in the receiver program, your audio was fine. But then getting to Phil, his video was stuttering every so often. Now I can't do VLC. And for Phil to sort of say it was my fault for talking too much, he does a pretty good job himself, really. I'll catch you during the week, hopefully, and not have too long a QSA there, Phil. I want to find out which of those mods you did to your PA at the moment you're running, and what the results were. But that's another time. And being everybody's thanking Gary, I ought to thank him as well. And yeah, hope his swimming pool's okay. Or is it just a lake? I can't remember what it was. Anyway, getting rid of leaves. That was a pain. I had a little sort of fish pond, and if it wasn't leaves getting in it, it was the first birds coming down and nicking the fish. But anyway, what else was I going to comment on? Yeah, find a Benno on ST8 rather. Yeah, I never really grasped me, I must admit. But I'm starting to get the HF station rearranged this end. At the moment, I have a big ATU in the shack, which is an absolute pain to have here. So I'm going for an end fed, which I know is not going to be quite as versatile, but means I can run some coax in. Not too power mad, etc. So that's what I'm in the process of doing. But all these little jobs just seem to take a lot longer than they you'd first think. Oh, is anybody going to talk on? Oh no, I thought I was going to get an M17 signal, but I didn't. Someone's obviously just keyed up. Funny enough, there was a net on Friday, which was quite busy, but it's a very quiet channel. Anyway, I'm digressing. Good to see everybody, and thanks again to Gary for running the net. And yeah, it was you were some rave music you used to sort of be testing and that with Benno. That was what I was not really into, this sort of modern music, you know. I need a bit of rock sort of type things, you know. I see the Wokeries got into Queen with Fat Bottom Women. That's had to be removed from the latest album as such. That's totally silly. Anyway, shouldn't get into politics, should I? Are you ready there, Benno? I'll test card and it's yours from G8KOE.
Yeah. Back. Let's see. Face cam. Yes, I have. Okay. No problem. Well, so the thing is, using any other, well, any new music, you get all kind of license problems and people complaining that you're using unlicensed music. So nobody can tell me where I got that part. I know where it comes from, but it's not licensed. So that's all basically it. At least it's recognizable, and that was all the whole goal of this this part. To get some kind of tune where you know, oh, you don't have to look, that's Benno. That works. Annoying as it is, people, I have more people with annoying music, and I always have to turn them down if I accidentally turn on those channels. But then again, maybe I can find a nice tune which is license free and which is different. Actually, I have one. Somehow it didn't play through. Well, anyway, thanks all. Continue to play. I need to make a new data cable, I believe, because I have so many times unplugged the micro USB connector to the Pluto that probably it's now completely dead. So I will play on and try it a few times, a few different ways to get a decent signal into the Pluto on the right voltage, not coming from the raspberries, because that is not a good idea, I believe. I have seen them quite already damaged a few times, or changed the voltage a few times when you just start up something. So, well, let's try that. Anyway, have a nice weekend for the rest of the remaining part, and hope to meet you all. Next week I will be somewhere on the mountain in Germany, same like last year on this weekend. But I am not planning in making the DATV QO from that part, because I think I will try to bring my narrowband and multi-transceiver with me and play with that, because last time I had to need 4 chairs and a table to set up a decent DATV station outside with 3 laptops and a PC next to my dish and the amplifier, and I don't want to do that again. So this time probably I will set up my multi-transceiver and see if I can make some QSOs from that one. That is, if I get my Pluto working on the Langstone. Rudy, yes. Well, the problem is, one is talking you need to have 5 point something volt for 5.1, 5.2 volt. The other one says it works better with 4.8. I have no clue. In the end, I will test, I will try, I will test everything, but I can't get it stable working, and it's down to probably some power issue between the Raspberry and the Pluto and communication. So I'm now going to make a dedicated cable, a new cable with proper shielding from this micro USB connector to the Raspberry, and then pulling out the 5 volt, putting it directly onto the 5 volt somewhere, and then probably put it on a separate power supply and play on from 4.6 up to 5.2 and see whatever is stable or at least working. So that's my next goal. Probably happening something this week, but as I have only 1 or 2 days this week to try, yeah, that's the story, Mike. So now I'm going to do a separate power supply to both devices in order to get it working. But at least I need to have a proper shielded cable between the Pluto and the Raspberry now first, as my cable is probably down to too much disconnecting and reconnecting. Okay, well, that's all for now. Have a nice week, and see you later somewhere, either on the Bird or maybe on the narrowband or maybe on FT8. I'm not really into FT8 only because I got this digital transceiver, Martin. Okay, have a nice meal from Papa Alpha 3, Foxtrot Bravo X-Ray, off and clear. Passing it on to my friend Mike, MJW PA 3 Fox Bravo X-Ray.
Right, thank you, Benno. Seem to have taken a long time to lock up here. I might be out of sync now. A few things have been operating on the computer, and it might have had an impact on the transport stream. Anyway, yeah, thank you to Gary. Yes, he does a sterling job every week. I'm certainly not here every week, but he seems to be here every week, apart from when he's got an excuse to not be. So well done, Gary. And nice to see the rest of you and hear what everybody's been up to. All very interesting. I don't think I've got much more to add. I wasn't asked any questions that I can remember. So just wishing everyone a good weekend, and catch up with you maybe next week. We will see. But I'm not going on a hill in Germany. I assume this is some sort of scouting event or something. I think there's something going on in the UK as well. They were talking about that on the Thursday net. Right, so 7-3 and round to Leon, ZS1 Mike, G0 MJW.
Anything happening? Oh yes, it is happening. It's getting dark here. Right. G0 MJW in the group, ZS1 Mike returning, and yeah, the sun is very low, and it's, if I sit back it's a bit better. If I'm there, it's on my face. Okay, Gary, if you're still there, I remembered what you forgot to do. You promised me that you would send me the link to the YouTube recording of the previous rocket talk that I did. That's what you promised me. I suddenly remembered. Okay, right. Okay, Michael's fine. Brian's fine. Except those wings that are standing there. They want to fly, eh, Brian? Phil, two things. You during the week you were testing. Well, you were broadcasting on 500 kilobits. That computer video that you did. At some stage I would love to make a recording of that, but if you could do it at 1 megasymbol. That is quite a nice video, and I'd love to show it to people, but it must be nice then. So if we can do it on 1 megasymbol or even more, at some stage when the band is really not in use, when it's quiet. There's no rush, but I'd like to do that at some stage before you wipe the video or something. The other thing is, Phil, your audio is okay. It's a bit lower than the others, but you do have clipping on your very peaks. It's definitely clipping. It's not Michael that's clipping. Phil has got just a little bit of clipping occasionally on the peaks. But your level is lower than the others, so it must be something in the earlier stages that's clipping. It's not clipping in OBS or whatever you're using with your system. It's just now and there I can definitely hear it. Okay, that's it. Ed, good. Martin, yeah, you've got the PA from, yeah. Benno, those helicopters are also just hanging there. They've been hanging there since the invention of QO-100. They don't move. And yeah, Mike, Mike's got lots of audio. No problem with Mike's audio. Right, that's it from me. I also say cheerio, 73s for everybody, and thanks very much for coming up. It's getting dark here in Worcester, so 73s. And see you guys next weekend, hopefully, from ZS1 Mike.
Swimming pool duty, and all well. I see the lights are off. Also getting darker here. I want to thank everyone for coming on the net today. It's been interesting as usual, and I'll get that link sent to you. I certainly hope Louis could copy us, having to change links. As I said earlier, if you just like and follow this link, then if something like this does happen, and I go off, it'll come back on and it'll let you know that the link, there's a new link, and then you can just click onto it, and you haven't lost too much. With that, say 73. This is ZS6YI now closing net. Have a lovely week. See you guys next week. ZS6YI from near Johannesburg, signing clear.
Mike especially, or anyone else for that matter, I just got a question on powering the